I am in the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. That's right, Luxembourg, a country right in the middle of Western Europe between Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, France, all here in the beautiful Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. We are here in the world's most expensive country to try a decadent sandwich. In fact, the decadent one from Charles Sandwiches. A brief history of Charles Sandwiches. Luxembourg. Not the biggest, but definitely not the smallest country we covered on this show. Luxembourg stands out as the world's only remaining Grand Duchy, even if it has lost quite a bit of land. In general, Luxembourg is a holdout from the Holy Roman Empire, when Central Europe was full of small duchies like Luxembourg. Several Kaisers of the Holy Roman Empire were even from Luxembourg, but after their fall from power, the duchy was first Austrian, then French, then Belgian, and finally, in 1890, it left its personal union with the Netherlands. However, its anachronistic existence is not what Luxembourg is known for today, but rather its wealth. As mentioned before, it is the richest nation in the world, per capita. But you might be wondering, how is this possible? Well, let me make my high school econ teacher very proud and explain a brief explanation of Luxembourgish gross domestic product per capita at purchasing power parity, factoring in the Schengen zone effect on movement of labor and capital in the European Union. So, basically, gross domestic product, or GDP, is the total sum of money a nation makes, and the GDP per capita is the number divided by the total number of residents in that country to get a very broad amount of the actual money the average person in a nation has. This number is then analyzed with the purchasing power parity, or PPP, to explain the actual living cost in said country compared to others. The global average GDP PPP is 14,450. The richest nation in the world in terms of total GDP is the United States, with a per capita GDP of 76,399. Luxembourg's GDP per capita is 142,214. That is almost twice the United States and 200,000 more than second place Singapore. How does this little nation make so much money? Well, two reasons. One key factor is they just do good business. They have one of the world's biggest steel companies and a lot of banks and investments from other European nations. And they love investing in Luxembourg because Luxembourgers on average speak 4 languages. Luxembourgish in kindergarten, German in primary school, French in high school, all while learning English and whatever language they want to for fun. So yes, they obviously do well, but that doesn't explain the massive GDP per capita. Well, it's all thanks to a fantastic agreement made inside the European Union named after a town in Luxembourg, the Schengen Zone, the Common Border Agreement allowing freedom of movement and labor across its member states. Luxembourg is both small and rich, meaning housing is expensive, so a lot of people who work in Luxembourg live in places like France or Germany or Belgium. They all commute into the Grand Duchy, increasing its overall GDP, and then go home to different countries. Because they don't live there, they don't factor into the GDP per capita. This is why the number is so big. Even when this number is still factored in, it's still 90,000. Enough economics. Basically, what does any of this have to do with the sandwich? Luxembourgish food does not exactly lend itself well to the sandwiches, particularly the traditional foods. So I turned to a more exclusive Luxembourg sandwich chain only found in Luxembourg. Charles Sandwiches, a Luxembourgish institution, is a favorite among Luxembourgers. And because it's in Luxembourg, it has Luxembourg prices, with its most expensive sandwich on the menu costing almost 40 euros. From their rather extensive menu, I chose the sandwich that best gave off the vibe of Luxembourg. That is, the decadent. A perfect name for a fancy sandwich in this wealthy Grand Duchy. A fresh baguette topped with Charles Sandwich's famous bacon, gruyere, and foie gras, a fatty duck liver grilled to perfection. All that is served together in one fantastic sandwich, and we are going to try it right here at Charles Sandwiches, the premier Luxembourgish sandwich experience. Let's head inside and try it out. And here it is, folks. The decadent from Charles Sandwiches. I'm joined.
Should I show my burger as well?
Yes. This is my good friend Charlotte, professional Luxembourger. Moyen. We have, I have the decadent sandwich. You have the decadent burger thing.
With the steak on top.
With steak, yes. We're in the illustrious restaurant. Of course, it's a chain here in Luxembourg, only found in this country. And this is, there you see all the ingredients, the fagua, the bacon, the gruyere, all on a beautifully freshly baked baguette. So, let's enjoy. Or, it's a complete, pretty messy. There's maple syrup, it's dripping, that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, at the end of the
Cheers.
day. Cheers. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
The flavor is all over in a good way, in a very good way.
How's the bacon?
Crunchy, fatty, exactly what you want. Oh my gosh. Look at the cheese stretch, people. That's quality cooking. Look, if you come to Luxembourg, the food's going to be a little pricey, like the whole country. But it's definitely worth the quality.
And if you come between 4 and 6, it's happy hour.
A sandwich happy hour, folks. What more do you want? This is a fantastic sandwich. If you're ever in Luxembourg, would highly recommend. Well, there you have it. That was the sandwich. And honestly, according to the receipt, not too bad. I was expecting a lot more. 23 euros, a fantastic price to pay for a delectable sandwich. And perchance, here we are at the Grand Duke's Palace. On reason there, maybe eating his own sandwich. But of course, Luxembourg has a lot more than fun monarchical titles. So let's go see what it has to offer. Like stunning views of valleys and hills, like Luxembourg City's Old Town. Or just the hilly countryside overall, full of breathtaking waterfalls. Or just the public infrastructure is really built up. This is a super cool bridge. You can take a free tram across. Yes, that's right. All public transit in Luxembourg is free, from buses, trains, and trams, all with the most delightful little jingle. Or take those trams to see some of Luxembourg's history, from its historic fortresses to its Gothic churches. Or maybe spend a little money on their very fancy shops, or this very fancy office building that is actually the European Court of Justice, staffed right in Luxembourg City. Speaking of fancy, the Grand Duke, he's honored all over the country in monuments and kebab shops. Regardless, there's also World War II memorials like this one of General Patton. Or enjoy some Luxembourgish beer. My personal favorite is Baton. It is delightful. And see the Luxembourgish language, a confusing mix of both German and French that you'll see on most street signs, or just being weirdly German and French at the same time. Nonetheless, here's a beautiful Luxembourgish building that is, it's a bank, yeah, it's one of the banks, and there's another bank, and there's a bank again, yes, and more banks, and yet another bank, and a whole area of the city just for banks. Well, there you have it. The Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. I am here in the exact almost center of the country, in the city of Edelbrook, next to their historic church. And overall, Luxembourg, as you see, has a whole lot of stuff going on besides all the money they make. It is a fascinating combination right here in Western Europe between Germany and France. The language, a combination of both, the culture, a combination of both. All together, though, just like the language, staying distinctly Luxembourgish. And I think it's truly a fantastic place for you to visit. If you're looking for a quality time here in Europe, there's no better place to try a fantastic, high-quality sandwich than Luxembourg.
Hey du, ich muss dir da los sagen. Hey du, ich schon lang auf dich gewartet. Nie die Zeit vergoren. Hey du, ohne dich das viel so hart. Ich will immer bei dir sein, bei dir meine Schminkplan.